Well, it's time to be putting the finishing touches on your pruning in the orchard, and it seems like more and more research and a lot of the fruit specialists are encouraging us to kind of wait as long as we possibly can in the spring to prune. And the reason for that, if you'll imagine that we came in too early and did a lot of heavy pruning, and then we came back and got a late spring freeze, we're actually reducing the amount of fruit we can get even more. So wait as long as you can before the fruit buds really start swelling up or flowering even right into that period would be fine. Now this really, you can use your imagination on pruning. You really have control of the direction that you're going to make the tree grow. And this is a Jonathan apple, and we're training it into what is called an espalier, where eventually we'll have 4 arms along with our wires here. And you can tell that our major branches were developed last year. This tree's only been in the ground 1 season, so we have a branch going across this wire, 1 over here, and then 2 at the top. So last year all we did was tip it, our whip, and made all these side growths come out. Now I'll smooth this up a little bit more because it's already dead. We know we have 2 good arms here. And then I've gone in and pruned a little bit. You can see behind me, not too much this second season. And I'm leaving these in here to help get more size on the trunk of the tree, help provide some foliage and shade, and eventually I'll come in and remove these side ones so it will look pretty much as flat as a fence would be. Now I want to caution you about using the twist ties to help train the tree. If you look here a little bit further, especially right here, you can see that the tree grew so much last year we didn't keep up with it, and we've girdled it a little bit. And even further out you can see that more. Now we've used the tomato ties that are foam covered wire, and we still have a lot of indention in there, and you can see that's a really severe girdle. So we didn't keep up with the growth and the circumference to loosen it up, and we may have some trouble. So as a result, I've left this other branch that I can also prune and train along the wire in case this one is going to die on us. But you can tie them throughout the season, and you will have to do some summer pruning. And once we get a main arm, then I'm going to go in between here and cut out some of these to make our spacing, and then we'll train these up to the top wire so it'll look almost like a fan, and then we'll just twist them up here and angle them where we have our main branch and then one's coming up. So really your imagination can control the type and shape of pruning that you want to do. It's a little bit of fun, it makes it more formal, and again is very creative. Now you want to be careful at coming in depending on the type of crop, because you may cut off some of your fruiting wood. And really on an espalier, it'll take you several years to get it trained before you ever start getting fruit production anyway, because you do have to remove a little bit more wood. Now if you remember last year, we planted a new nectarine tree in one of our raised beds to help in drainage, and I'd like to take you over and show you how that project's coming along. Now last year, after we planted our nectarine tree in the raised bed, we pruned it to an open center, but we left a little bit of what we call a throttle to help provide some foliage to hopefully open up the branches. Well, it helped a little bit, but in the meantime, over the winter, you can see that the deer came in and they did some feeding and rubbing and actually have broken off one of our scaffold branches, because this is where we topped it last year to open it up a little bit. So first of all, we're going to have to go in and correct that damage. And the best way to do that, again, it's kind of similar to our recent segment on snow and ice damage. We're going to prune that off, and then we'll make it just as smooth as we can. Now you can get a knife if you need to and edge in there to make it smooth, and we'll cut this dead piece out, and hopefully as smooth as it would be, the cambium layer would then grow in. But again, we've lost one of our scaffold branches, so what we're going to have to do is come up here and leave the center again to try to force it out, but we're just going to top the center to get some growth in here. And then this growth will open up these scaffold branches. But notice the angle on this one, and again with the damage, I'm not sure if we'll save it, but we'll come in and we'll top this one up here to start angling it out, and hopefully that will also force some more growth along here. If not, we'll have to then come back and rely on some of these down here, and that one's dead, and maybe this one could then become a scaffold branch. Now the suckers that you see at the bottom, a lot of times it's a good idea to prune those out as well, just to keep them from getting too thick and competing with our main trunk. And then notice here we have a bad angle again too. Now we can put a spacer in here, which I've brought one out here to try to do, but I've decided to just leave this upright again, hopefully to force it out, and then I'll control my angle a little bit more by pruning over here. Now notice wherever you prune, the direction that you prune will have an effect on the direction that the tree is growing. So we're going to tip it right here, and that will make it open up a little bit more, and this will become our main branch again. Again, the purpose is to open it up, and then we'll do that on all of our scaffold branches. I'll just go in above the angle that I want to tip it out and open it up a little bit more. Again, leaving the center in here, and then we'll, I guess we'll go down a little lower on this one. And then these that are up here on the top, we can also tip them just to control our growth. Have another side scaffold branch here, angling it out with opening it up and keeping that in mind. And then here we want to try to open this one up a little bit. So we'll still have the potential of getting some fruit on these areas, and then hopefully this will heal up, and then probably in another season we'll cut this center one out if we don't get another main scaffold on it. So we'll try to salvage it, see how it comes along. It will put an awful lot of growth on this year, and hopefully we can keep the damage off and pull this particular tree out. Now that kind of gives you an idea of what to do in starting one, and the minute you plant it, you need to start training the tree, because when you get to the size over here, if you haven't done a lot of pruning, trying to go in and correct that after they're 5-6 years is very, very difficult to do. But ours, we've been very fortunate that after it was planted, we've done some training. You can see we have the open center. And what we've done to try to show a contrast is the right side of the tree, I've gone in and done the pruning, compared to the left, which we've not done yet. And it's really hard to tell that we've done that much pruning unless you look down here at the base. And all of that came on just one half of the tree. Again, with the whole point being to get good air circulation and open it up a little bit more. And let me show you some of the types of cuts that we've made. We've gone in, we try to make the cuts as smooth as we can on the branch collar. And this particular one, we've opened it up so much that it's really going to start getting top heavy, and it could split if we keep angling it straight out. And what we're going to do instead is now come back a little bit further so it's not going straight out, that it starts angling, and we keep building that way. So we'll make a cut, probably right in this angle here. And we'll smooth that up a little bit with our smaller pruners. And so our angle is starting to go back up, but it's still within reach of us to get to our fruit. And then we can come in with this one and tip it. So we're kind of stair-stepping it or angling it that way. Now one thing that you want to avoid is going in and cutting all these light pink twigs off, because those are your 1-year-old growth from last year that will produce the fruit. Now the exception to that would be any of these bigger whips like this one right here. I don't know if you can see it that well. That's trying to grow right back in the center. And we'll cut that one off because it will drain a lot of the sap from the tree and grow bigger and bigger and try to form another central leader. The same thing over here. We have one growing straight out again that would be in the way. If it gets too heavy, it would grow down, so we'll cut it. So our angle's up, but then we'll come back one more time to angle it back out again at a different point with our weight. So that will support the weight a little bit more in the long run. Now if you look at the top, this particular one here is trying to grow straight up again. So you can see I've tipped it to force it back out where it'll be a little bit easier to reach. And that's the same process that you would do going along. And again, the very simple things of just removing the dead, diseased wood. So the peaches really take the most severe pruning of any of the crops. And it may look scary when I finish here And as a matter of fact, we'll show you the finished product of how much wood is under the tree and what it looks like after we've pruned the whole thing. And believe me, we'll still get a lot of fruit and we'll still have to do a lot of thinning.